A Ukrainian sniper peers through the scope of his rifle. Half a mile away, a Russian armored vehicle rolls down a dirt road. The shooter blinks hard to clear his vision. He takes a deep breath and holds it to steady his aim. Before he squeezes the trigger, he glances to the side at the device strapped to his arm to get a reading on the wind speed and direction. At this distance, every variable counts. He runs through a set of calculations in his head, adjusts his aim, and fires. Seconds pass. The enemy vehicle begins to slow down and then comes to a complete stop. The sniper looks through his scope and chuckles. The Russian vehicle is bellowing smoke. The incendiary round he just fired smashed through the vehicle's armor and ignited the fuel in its tank. Even from half a mile away, he hit his mark dead on. He records his shot and the destruction of the vehicle, packs up his rifle, and moves to the next target. This isn't a unique story. Ukrainian snipers have been wreaking havoc on the Russians since the start of the war, and this isn't the only way they're making conscripts scared for their lives. The scenario we just talked about is likely how one Ukrainian Special Forces soldier managed to incapacitate a Russian armored vehicle in the summer of 2022. It was an incredible shot that cost Russia an armored vehicle and Ukraine the price of a bullet. Ukrainian military officials reported that the sniper hit the Russian BMP-2 amphibious armored vehicle from a distance of around 754 meters or 2,500 feet. The reason the shot is so impressive is because of the skills of the sniper, the weapon used, and the armor-piercing incendiary rounds that were used. The precise shot hit the gas tank of the BMP-2, and the heat from the incendiary round caused the fuel to catch fire. This particular vehicle was designed to carry troops into battle and provide fire support once the soldiers were deployed. After the sniper shot, all that was left was scrap metal. It's not clear whether the Russian soldiers in the vehicle made it out alive, but even if they did, the Ukrainian sniper would have been waiting for them. That same sniper unit also took out another armored vehicle by hitting the engine compartment several times with armor-piercing rounds. It might sound crazy, but this one Ukrainian sniper was able to disable 2 Russian armored vehicles and take out several soldiers before falling back to resupply. Think about what a massive blow to the Russian war effort that would be. Each of the armored vehicles disabled by the sniper cost Russia millions of dollars, and in a matter of seconds they were rendered useless by a single sniper. Russia has fallen back to the territory they already controlled in Ukraine to regroup and resupply after suffering significant casualties at the hands of the Ukrainian military. One of the main reasons that the Russian army is having such a hard time invading further into Ukraine is because of Ukraine's skilled snipers. Let's take a look at some truly incredible accomplishments achieved by these special forces units. Taking a tank out from 2,500 feet away is very impressive, but there are other shots that have been made during the war that are even more remarkable. Before we dive into some more insane Ukrainian sniper missions, we need to understand why their snipers are so effective. The story of many of the soldiers causing so much havoc amongst the Russian tanks might be more peculiar than you think. In fact, many of the sniper units deployed across the country to stop the Russian invasion are made up of young people who felt it was their duty to fight for their country. There are definitely snipers who were trained as Ukrainian Special Forces, and they conduct most of the high-profile missions to take out key targets, but there's another contingent of snipers that have also joined the fight. Ukrainian men and women who left their homes to work in Western Europe, where there were more opportunities, came back to fight for their country when the war started. Many Ukrainians felt it was their duty to take up arms and defend their nation when Russia invaded. People still living within Ukraine's borders quickly transitioned from their ordinary jobs and lives into becoming full-blown soldiers. Obviously, not everyone had the skill set to become a sniper, but those who did came from some surprising places. Engineers, students, and entrepreneurs raced back to Ukraine to join the war effort. In order to ramp up their training, makeshift sniper ranges were constructed outside of Kyiv where anyone who had proficiency with rifles or hunting could be trained. These out-of-the-ordinary training tactics seem to have worked, as now Ukrainian snipers are one of the biggest threats to Russian soldiers. Many of the volunteer snipers have honed their deadly skills through countless hours of trial and error. Ukrainian military leaders head the war effort, but when snipers are out in the field, they oftentimes need to make their own decisions. However, since the objective of every soldier and civilian in Ukraine is to push the Russians out of the country, the decision of whether to pull the trigger or not is almost always an easy one to make. Ukrainians who have traveled from abroad to get back to their country to take up arms against the Russian invasion forces have had to overcome numerous obstacles even before reaching a training center. Just getting back into Ukraine is easier said than done. Due to Russian hostilities, all flights into or out of the country have been grounded. The last thing Ukraine wants is for civilian passengers to be shot down by Russian missiles, and the truly terrible part is that it wouldn't be that surprising. Russia has already targeted numerous civilian structures and vehicles and has killed indiscriminately as they try to push further into Ukraine. This means that Ukrainians who have come back to fight have had to fly into cities like Budapest, then pay huge amounts of money to hire a driver to get them across the border so they can enlist with the military. Sometimes they show up with their own rifles that were procured before returning to Ukraine. One future volunteer sniper received a call from his mother on February 24, 2022. She told her son the war had started and she could hear helicopters, airplanes, and explosions all around her. It was at that point the young man decided he needed to return to fight. He bought a US-made sniper rifle, started training with the Special Forces instructor that his friends connected him with, and then snuck into Ukraine to wage war against Russian forces. Once back in the country, he reached Kyiv, where he formally enlisted in the military, received expedited training, and joined a sniper unit. Ukraine is winning the war against Russia, but they do not have access to all the weapons and resources they need to push them out of the country at the moment. This is why many volunteer snipers come to fight with their own equipment. A large percentage of Ukrainians are familiar with rifles from engaging in hunting before the war. Now these skills are being leveraged to create more deadly soldiers. Surprisingly, some of the volunteer snipers have even cited their affinity for first-person shooter video games as a driving force to becoming a volunteer sniper. At this point, the Ukrainian military needs all the help it can get, so using any skills that will aid the sniper in the training process is a must. However, as almost every Ukrainian soldier fighting in the war has made clear, they don't want to kill people or shoot them with sniper rifles even if they are Russian. It's all out of necessity. And that drive to secure their homeland from the Russians, combined with skills learned from Special Forces sniper trainers, have led to some pretty incredible results for Ukraine. Snipers need to have complete control of their bodies and senses in order to be effective. They also need to have the skill set to use data from their scope and monitors to adjust their aim to hit targets that are extremely far away. In training, snipers are given charts that they're drilled on to ensure they can make last-minute calculations when they're in the field. To be more aware of their surroundings, they wear headphones made for hunters that suppress the noise of their rifles while amplifying any voices around them. It's this combination of pre-war skills, training, and the weapons being used that make the Ukrainian snipers so deadly. But before we tell you what gear these soldiers are using, let's hear a few more incredible stories. One Ukrainian sniper now holds the second largest combat kill ever recorded. This soldier shot an enemy from approximately 1.68 miles away. That's like trying to thread a needle with a microscopic hole while being blindfolded. Needless to say, the Ukrainian sniper expertly sighted their target, made all the right calculations, and then hit the mark with deadly accuracy. The longest kill shot ever recorded was made by a Canadian sniper in Iraq in 2017. This soldier hit their target from 2.2 miles away. This is an unbelievable distance, and the Canadian sniper must have been incredibly skilled. However, hitting a target from over a mile and a half away is no small feat either. The video of the kill shot from Ukraine shows the target using a night vision scope. The sniper lines up the shot, fires, and after the rifle steadies from the recoil, the Russian soldier goes down. The darkness of night is the Ukrainian sniper's best friend when they have night vision. The body heat coming off of Russian soldiers makes them easy to track and target. Also, darkness provides cover for the Ukrainian snipers, especially when they're firing from over a mile away. Muzzle suppressors dampen the rifle's sound and flash, making the snipers all but undetectable. One of the most incredible shots made thus far in the war definitely goes to this next sniper. A video released by official Ukrainian military channel shows the sniper's view through their scope as he hits two Russian targets with one bullet. The video itself isn't high quality due to the complications around setting up recording equipment for a scope, but what can be seen are two blob-shaped figures that were Russian seemingly talking to one another. The Ukrainian sniper aims his shot and waits for the perfect moment. After he fires and refocuses the scope, both Russian soldiers have fallen down, signifying that they were both hit by the bullet. But this isn't the only astonishing shot this sniper made. The Ukrainian military also praised this same elite gunman for taking down 5 Russian troops in 5 minutes. He was part of the 3rd Special Purpose Regiment of the Special Operations Forces of Ukraine, patrolling the Donetsk region when the unit came across Russian troops. This particular engagement left 3 Russian soldiers dead and 2 wounded, and what's even crazier is that these shots were all made from over 4,000 feet away. There's no denying that Ukraine currently has some of the most skilled snipers in the world. Again, not all of these shooters went through extensive training by the military. Ukraine needs all the snipers they can muster, even if this means some of their ranks are filled with shooters who have less traditional military experience than would be desired. But the Ukrainian snipers are not just crack shots, they also play other major roles in the fight against Russia. Snipers are constantly used for spotting Russian positions and then calling in artillery or airstrikes. This means that shooting the gas tank or an engine block of a vehicle is not the only way that Ukrainian snipers are taking out armored vehicles and tanks. Snipers are often trained in tactical, medicine, and drone use, as these skills are oftentimes necessary to complete their mission objectives. Then again, almost all Ukrainian soldiers are trained to use multiple weapons and tactics, as they have to constantly find ways to defeat an enemy that vastly outnumbers themselves. However, snipers that can take out multiple targets with a single bullet or are able to disrupt enemy convoys from long distances are one of the reasons why Ukraine is winning the war. Now you might be wondering what type of sniper rifle Ukrainian sharpshooters favor. And although there are several different snipers being used by the Ukrainian military, there is one that is more devastating than all the rest. The Snipex Alligator is a 55-pound, 79-inch rifle that packs a huge punch. The barrel alone is 47 inches long. When the Alligator fires its 57 caliber bullet, it leaves the muzzle at 3,200 feet per second. This gives the Snipex Alligator an effective range of 23,000 feet. The rifle has a 5-round detachable box magazine, which allows for quick reload times, but as you can tell from the insane sniper shots made by Ukrainian soldiers, they normally don't need to expend all 5 rounds to hit their targets. When examining the war in Ukraine right now, it seems that snipers may be one of the most vital assets for disrupting Russian plans and tactics. The ability of Ukrainian soldiers to hit targets from vast distances means they can kill enemy soldiers and incapacitate Russian armored vehicles without putting themselves in harm's way. This does not mean what they do isn't dangerous. Sniper units lay down covering fire to allow troops on the front lines to safely fall back and are sometimes left vulnerable to enemy artillery fire and heavy weapons fire. What snipers are doing in Ukraine is amazing and definitely making a difference in the way the war is going. However, if the Ukrainian military can't secure more ammunition and weapons, it won't matter how good of shots their snipers are. That's why it's imperative that NATO continues to send Ukraine aid and resupply its military. As the winter months grow colder in Ukraine, the fighting will slow down. However, there's no rest for sniper units. Every week there are more confirmed kills as Ukrainian forces hold the Russians at bay. As the ground begins to thaw, we might see a renewed Russian offensive, and as long as the Ukrainian snipers have the supplies they need, they will be there to stop whatever Russia throws at them. Now watch The White Death, Best Sniper in History, or check out This Is How the Russian War in Ukraine Ends.